A safari trip in Egypt is not just about riding vehicles across the desert, but it's about visiting the oases of Egypt and getting to know their culture and traditions. There are similarities between the four main oases of Egypt, but only one stands out and differs from any other place in the Nile Valley. It's the unique oasis of Siwa. One of the best things about the monuments of Siwa is that they are located very close to the center of the city of Siwa. In fact, this place here is called the Mountain of the Dead, and it's very close, almost 5 kilometers to the center of the city of Siwa. It's composed of rock-cut tombs. They are cut out in the rocks of the mountain, right at the base and at the conical part of the mountain. Beyond doubt, all these tombs were robbed and opened and violated long time ago. Travelers from the 18th century came here and said that they saw skulls and mummies scattered all around the area, until Dr. Ahmed Fakhri, the famous Egyptologist, came and cleaned all the tombs and cleared them in 1941. Since then, all these rock-cut tombs became opened for visitors. The Mountain of the Dead in Siwa is also called Qarat al-Musabbarin, which is an Arabic name that means literally the continent of the mummified, being the most famous burial ground in the oasis. It's 1.5 kilometers away from the center of Siwa city, and it's a hill conical in shape. The tombs were cut in the rocks of the hill, at its base, and at the conical section of it. Basically, they are small in size, and each unit is composed of one chamber or two chambers. Some bigger tombs have several chambers in addition to columns. No organized excavation operations were done in the past before the Egyptian historian and archaeologist Ahmed Fakhri took detailed pictures of the tombs and copied the inscriptions on the walls of Neberba Tot's tomb in 1939. Nevertheless, the illegitimate excavators' work lasted for centuries before that. The common scene then was a scattering of pieces of mummies and bones and skulls and coffins all around the place, and that was the unusual scene that caught the attention of all the travelers who wrote about this site in some details before Brown had visited it in 1792. In the period between October and November 1940, the Syrians left their houses in Chali after the Italians showered Siwa with bombs from the air. The people found in the rocky tombs of the Mountain of the Dead the best shelter for them and their families from danger. Those who left early occupied the tombs that were already open before. The others dug caves on the sides of the hill, and that resulted in finding a big number of monuments and antiquities. From that time, the Syrians started a habit of opening the tombs and taking whatever treasures they found inside, and cut and destroy the mummies, looking for the golden amulets, then later sell the rest to those who trade in antiquities in Alexandria. This cemetery was a center of attention of the early travelers of Siwa. For example, Brown, who visited it in 1792, said that there were no texts or images inside the tombs, but there were remainings of skeletons and bones and pieces of skin with hair attached to them. Herman II mentioned that the Syrians found gold inside the tombs and sabotaged the ancient burials looking for it. The first traveler who mentioned the existence of images and pictures in these tombs was Caio, who came here in 12 December 1819. Two Egyptian kings visited the oasis in 1904 and 1928, and since the end of World War II, vehicles were used in the Western Desert, and it became possible to go to the oasis easier than before. That comprises a lot of cut-out tombs, but most of them are buried. There are others opened, but their entrances are blocked with rubble. In 1997, excavations revealed 30 tombs lying exactly in front of the tomb of Siamon and extending towards east. Excavation season of 2003, more 24 tombs were found north and west of the season of 1997. They were of different sizes, but almost had one architectural design in common. It's the Greek-Roman tomb design called locally, which is composed of descending steps, then an entrance that leads to a hall, then a burial chamber and other side chambers. Most of these tombs were barren from reliefs and colors, but all of them comprised a lot of bodies and skeletons wrapped in layers of cloth. In addition to the 4 colored tombs that were excavated by Dr. Ahmed Fakhri, 4 other tombs were found later, but they were not opened for visitors. The first and only colored tomb that was visited by the early travelers was the tomb of Nefertari. In 1940, when the Syrians moved to live in the mountain, they found the other 3 in the same year. In 1941, Dr. Fakhri cleaned them from rubble and sand and described them later in details. They are the tombs of the crocodile and Meso-Isis and Siamon. The last one is the most important one in the oasis. These 4 tombs are all cut out in the rocky conical part of the hill. One of the most important tombs in the Mountain of the Dead is the tomb of Nefertari. His title was the High Priest of God Osiris, and his name literally means the one who belongs to God Tot. While actually his title means that the cult of God Osiris prospered in Siwa Oasis just like the cult of God Amun. Being a priest, he was also the writer of the sacred documents and a Kawab or a purifier priest, and also the great one in his city. The tomb of Nefertari is one of the biggest tombs of the cemetery of the Mountain of the Dead. It comprises a round open court and 6 small chambers, 3 on each side of the court, barren from reliefs. The tomb ends with a burial chamber that faces the entrance, and it's covered with reliefs and drawings on the rocks in red. The mummy of the owner of the tomb was placed in a coffin that's cut out in the ground of the tomb. As for the cover, which was lost, it was composed of a stone slab resting on a profection in the shape of a frieze around the tip of the sarcophagus. The owner of the tomb is a man called Nefertari. His main title was Osiris Priest, and that proves that there was a temple built for God Osiris in the oasis then. He is also the writer of the sacred documents and was a purifier priest. Besides, he was called the Great One in his city, and the God Follower, and the Perfect Man, and the Straight Man. The breadth of the burial chamber is 1.75 meters. Its length is shorter than 2 meters. On the right side of the tomb, the owner stands raising his hands and holding a scepter with one hand. In front of him are the famous 4 boxes of the children of Horus. They are called the Merit boxes. They were used for the storage of clothes. According to the texts, the father of Neferbatot was called Nesri and bore the same titles as his son, and thus had the same job serving in God Osiris' temple. As for his mother, she was called Nestit. At the wall facing the entrance inside the burial chamber, Neferba is depicted worshipping God Osiris, who is sitting on a chair, while Goddess Hathor stands behind him. In front of Osiris, there is an offering table, which the tomb's owner faces. He is bald-headed and wears a kilt above which is a leopard's leather, and wears a collar around his neck and a pair of sandals. As for the base of the offering table, it takes the shape of a lotus flower. Above the table there are 6 loaves of bread and a gazelle, and 2 geese and a cucumber. 2 jars of wine hang by the edge of the table, while 2 others stand beneath it. Goddess Hathor was represented with the body of a woman and the head of a cow, with 2 horns holding the sun disk within, and topped by 2 feathers. One of the very interesting monumental places in Siwa Oasis is the Mountain of the Dead, or Jabal el-Mauta. That's why many tourists try to visit it while they are here. And today we have a guest from China. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
What's your name?
Ming.
Ming?
Yes.
So Ming, where have you been so far in Egypt?
I have been to Dahab, close to the Red Sea, around the Cairo and Alexandria and Matru, now here.
Oh, Marsa Matruh.
Yes.
So Marsa Matruh actually is a very interesting beach city. That's where people go for swimming during summertime. How did you hear about Matruh?
Oh, I have a lot of Chinese friends have been here and they recommended it to us. Yes.
That's great. What about Siwa?
Siwa?
How did you hear about it?
Yes, very famous for the desert Sahara. Yeah.
For the desert?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So, have you been anywhere in Syria before the Mountain of the Dead?
Yesterday we just go around the village and to the very famous temple and the
Amun Temple?
Yes, Amun Temple and the hot spring for the Cleopatra, I think. Yeah.
Cleopatra?
Yeah. Yes.
So she's actually talking about a spring like where people go for a swim when the weather is nice, and it's called Cleopatra's Eye, right?
Yes, it's very beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, so what actually interests you more in Oasis? Is it the weather or the atmosphere, the quietness here, the monuments, what?
Yes, actually I think it's everything. You mentioned that the people is very kind here and it's pretty original, I mean keep like ancient times with the donkey carts and the surrounding areas and the trees, everything. Yes.
So the environment here is still as it was long time ago.
I think yes. I haven't been before, but I think it keeps well. Yeah.
And it's so different from China in everything.
I I think China also have our own deserts, which is also very big and beautiful. That's why I want to come to Sahara to see, because I have been to several different deserts. Yeah.
So are you going to make any safari trips?
Not yet. We plan to do this afternoon. Yeah.
This afternoon?
Yes.
So will you visit anywhere specifically by safari cars?
You mean where?
Like going to, for example, a place called Bir Wahed or well number 1?
No, not yet. Yeah.
Well, it's a place where they go there by using safari cars.
Yeah. We will try to explore that.
Okay, I hope that you enjoy the rest of your tours here.
Yeah, thanks very much.
And I hope to see you again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the important tombs in the Mountain of the Dead is called the tomb of Niberba Tahot or Niberba Tot. The tomb is composed of 6 chambers plus a burial chamber. The importance of this man is explained through his titles. Not only he was a priest of god Osiris in Siwa Oasis, but also he was called the excellent man, the straight man, and the great followers. All these titles show his high rank in Siwa Oasis back then in the 26th dynasty. On the left side of the entrance of the tomb, and behind goddess Hasur, there is a long text, and it's a chant addressing god Tot, who is a part of Niberba's name. Then Niberba Tot stands, holding with one hand ropes, which ends tie 4 cows, and with his other hand he holds a whip. That's a famous ritual called the ritual of pulling the 4 oxen. That ritual started to appear on the walls of the tombs starting from the 18th dynasty, but it had appeared on the walls of the temples since the Old Kingdom. These 4 oxen have different colors. One is red, one is white, the third is black, and the 4th is spotted. It's possible that this tomb belongs to the 26th dynasty and thus is considered the oldest tomb excavated in Siwa. It's noticeable that the name of god Amun wasn't mentioned in it at all, although we know that he was a primary god in this oasis during the time of the 26th dynasty. The inscriptions on the walls of the Oracle Temple mention the name of King Amasis II, and in the light of the limited information about this period of Siwa's history, we can't say that the cult of Osiris in Siwa prevailed, possibly before the cult of Amun dominated, and that there was in the oasis a temple for Osiris with its special serving priests. This area was a focus of attention of the European travelers during the 18th and 19th centuries. That interest continued throughout the first half of the 20th century. For it's a funny fact that an Englishman called Harry built a house or a motel beside the Mountain of the Dead. Its ruins still exist in the northwest corner of the mountain. That man used to pay wages to the local workers to excavate the tombs and extract their contents and treasures and hand them over to him. Now, we are in the beginning of the 21st century, but excavations still take place here, and definitely time will reveal more of the undiscovered secrets of the oasis, only when Siwa decides to reveal them.